Welcome, everyone. I am so happy to have you here today. My name is Tammy Colvin, and I am a member of the Jackrabbit Education team. I have on the webinar today with us a whole lot of people. We're going to introduce everyone in just a moment, our special guest. But for now, our Jackrabbit team, Marie, if you want to give a little wave, I'm going to turn it over to her in just a moment. And then two of our background bunnies, our bunny ninjas, Janet and Lisa from Client Success. You three ladies want to say hello, introduce yourselves maybe?
Hi, I'm Janet on the Client Success team. Sorry, Lisa.
That's all right. Go ahead.
So, hi, welcome everyone. We're happy to have you. Like I said, I'm on the Client Success team. I am in Wilmington, North Carolina. We are all spread out, but that's where I am. And it is overcast but warm today, so that's nice.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa. I'm on the Client Success team as well. And I live in Charleston, near Charleston, South Carolina, Mount Pleasant. And I'm so happy to have everybody here today. So thank you for joining us. And Tammy, are you up or is Marie going to take over?
I'm going to let Marie introduce herself first.
Okay.
Hi guys, it's Marie. I am in Vancouver, Canada, and surprise, it's raining and overcast. I left Newfoundland years ago to get away from rain, drizzle, and fog, and I don't have snow anymore here, but I still have rain and drizzle and sometimes fog. And I am on customer support, so anytime you send in a chat or a ticket, especially if it's later in the evening, we call it West Coast time, you'll most likely get me responding.
Awesome. And I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where it is cloudy but warm, so I'll take it. So I want to go through a few housekeeping things, and then we're going to introduce our guest, and then Marie is going to take it over. So if you've not done a webinar with us before, or just a reminder, if you have, everyone is muted except the panelist. And if you have questions as we're going through, you've got a question and answer interface through your Zoom controls. If you don't see it immediately, move your mouse around or your cursor around on your screen, and usually it'll pop up at the top or the bottom. And we also have chat available. If you want to use chat and let us know where you're coming in from, we'd love to hear you or hear from you. That would be great. But please use the question and answer interface for your questions. That way we can keep track of them and know when they've been answered. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll receive an email tomorrow about 24 hours after we wrap today with a link to today's recording. And just a couple more little things. If you take a look at your screen, I want to mention a few virtual trainings. The last 2 weeks, we did our first virtual Jackrabbit Foundations, which is our previous basics training, and our Jackrabbit Level Up, which was our previous Beyond the Basics training. They're a little bit different. They were free. If you missed both of those trainings and are interested in getting those recordings, just send an email to education@jackrabbittech.com, and we'll be happy to share those with you. I also wanted to mention we've got an Ignite event, sort of a mini conference coming up in July 13th and 14th. It's going to be 2 afternoons from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern with 2 different tracks, one for clients, one for new and prospect organizations as well. So stay tuned. We're going to have more information coming out about that. And I know Deborah and Molly mentioned before we started broadcasting live about Boost. They attended last year, and just stay tuned. We're going to have a virtual version this year in November. Stay tuned. We've got more information coming your way. Jackrabbit Connections, if you have not connected with us yet, this is the best place you're going to find out what's going on with Jackrabbit. You can check out our Help Center. We've got 2 amazing resources, our COVID-19 resources section and our Road to Reopening section. You're going to find a lot of information there to help you through current events. And then check us out on Facebook. If you've not joined our Facebook users group, please search us out, click join, answer a few questions, let us know you're a client, and we'd love to have you there. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where our in-house videographer is putting out new videos every single week. So you'll get an update with that. And then don't forget to click on this little icon in your Jackrabbit database. That's going to be, sometimes we'll put messages that way there for you as well. So it's a great resource. All right, so I'm going to introduce our panel, and then I'm going to turn it over to Marie. So alphabetically, we have Robert Burton with River Heights Music. He's the owner of River Heights School of Music in Winnipeg. We're super happy to have him here. He's got 2 music degrees, been a professional musician and educator his entire adult life. He's also a fly fishing guide and instructor. So Robert, if I ever make it your way, I might need a lesson or 2. I grew up fishing, so I was excited to see that. Not fly fishing, but flounder gigging. He loves single malt whiskey, travel, photography, and birding. So he threw in a little extra fun there. Deborah Hall and Molly Jackson are with Angela Floyd Schools for Dance and Music. Deborah is the office manager. Molly is the assistant director. They're based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. They've been using Jackrabbit for over 10 years and are really just wanting to get ramped up and learn all the areas that they felt like they weren't hitting on yet. The school started in 1997 by Angela Floyd, and she's still the director. Then we have Peter Hemingway with Aspire Kids Sports Center. Peter was born and raised in Chandler, Arizona, was a former gymnast and coach at Aspire Kids, and then went on to obtain his MBA in global marketing and his MS in international marketing. So not only was he an athlete and a coach, he's got a business brain as well, and he's the current business manager at Aspire Kids. And then Beth Morphus, Salem Gymnastics and Swim, one of our hometown heroes. She's here in Winston-Salem with me, and she's been a lifelong upside-down girl. I do think there was a typo in something you sent, Beth, though, because it said you had over 45 years experience in the sport, and I don't think that's possible because I didn't think you were but 31 or 32, so there's got to be a little discrepancy there. She was an athlete at Illinois State University, and it's been a family business since 1980. It's huge in our community. It's an integral part of the family in Winston-Salem. And they added the swim school in 2016. And she loves training her staff and helping other gymnastics and swim schools. And with that, has started a new business called Gym Start. So this is such a great panel. We are so happy to have them here. Marie is going to talk to them a little bit about how they've adjusted their operations and classes, how they've restructured things, participation levels, feedback that they're getting, communicating with their families, as well as makeups, credits, and refunds. Lots of information, and then we'll take some credits at the end. So, whew, that's a lot for me. I am going to be quiet, and I am going to, at this point, Marie, it is all you. I can stop share if you want to take it over, or I can just leave up the little bubbly thing, and it's all up to you.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I talk away, and it's like I'm in my own little world. I think just leave out the bubbles is fine. Okay. I've got everybody's video up on my screen, so.
All right, well, take it away.
Yeah, so just so in case anybody wonders, because I have multiple screens, so if I'm turning my head, it's because I've got the questions up on one screen, but then I've got everybody's video kind of where I can feel like I'm actually like looking at you and talking to you. So just don't think I'm being kind of like odd and just looking away from you guys. So let's go with our first question. So first of all, guys, thank you so much, like Tammy said, for joining us. I know myself personally, I teach yoga, and at our studio we have like a massive protocol set up for reopening, and there's just, you know, so many different facets to it with like dealing with the students, the parents, the staff. Everybody's on kind of a different little page. So I'm just going to start with going who is across my screen in order. So Robert, you are the first one there. So our first question is, how have you adjusted your operations and classes to be open? And if you were doing virtual, like in the interim, virtual classes, are you still offering those as well?
Yeah, so obviously in doing private music lessons, we are able to convert to a video model. I was sort of nimble enough to actually go out and buy like 5 tablets, one for each room, and then and it worked out okay, but we lost about a third just in a blink of an eye. We're still offering that. There are people who are not ready to come out of their houses yet. They are still doing the hunker and the bunker. And so I'd say at this point, half our teachers aren't coming in for various reasons. Usually I think one is just staying home because he's just found it easier, so whatever. So half the teachers are kind of still sitting at home. And then of the teachers that are coming in, I'm finding that we have about a third that are coming in. The mitigating circumstance for people coming in is not the latest news report about the latest numbers. It's them getting sick and tired of lag time and stuttering and things like that, and just having had enough of it. And sometimes it's the kids who are just saying, "Mom, I'm not doing voice lessons on the internet anymore. This sucks," and then just come in. So those numbers are kind of creeping up in terms of the video lessons. So I'm gonna say. My goal is hopefully to have like at least half of the people coming in by June, but that's not up to me.
Yeah, awesome. And Deborah and Molly, how about you guys?
Yeah, so we took all of our classes, our dance and our music classes, all online back in mid-March when this started. And we've been doing that ever since. We do plan to start back doing in-person lessons next week, but of course on a very limited basis as far as class size and maintaining all the proper protocol.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And Beth, how about you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So in our part of the world, things stopped really, really suddenly right in the middle of March. And during the downtime, we sent a letter to all of our current people and just saying, listen, we want to be around for the long term. And, if you're able to keep paying your tuition, that'd be great. But if you can't, we get it. And we had a really good number, about maybe close to 200 families that opted in to pay tuition for April and May. So for the people, we just started doing some Zoom lessons just because. We never did online lessons that we have charged for. We just did it as kind of as a thank you for those families that have opted in. So now that we're looking toward reopening, which will happen next week, it's such a huge issue trying to figure out how to space everyone with personal distancing. We've run parent taught classes with 24 students. So that's, 24 kids, 24 parents, and a teacher. And everybody just kind of goes willy-nilly where they'd like, and they have a big time. And so the spacing has been a tremendous, tremendous issue in our facility. So we're starting off we're going to go back with just school-age kids at first, so that we can practice who's going to stand where do you stand when you're waiting for class to begin, how do you move from event to event so that everyone can maintain their personal distancing. It's a big, big change for us.
Awesome, thank you. And Peter, how about you?
Same here. Yeah, where I'm in Arizona, so we just opened, our first week was last week. And we have just been kind of struggling with phasing in every single person. So we have a whole long phase-in plan. And last week we did our teams first, and then this week we started camps. And we've gotten great responses. Our biggest thing is we had parents and families just itching to get back in the gym and really trying to come back as soon as possible. So we wanted to bring in the people that we felt needed it the most. And so with our teen kids, it's very hard for them to stay away. So So it's been rough, but since we've been back, I mean, the operationally wise, just the physical distancing, the spacing, we have dots everywhere just to space ourselves. And we changed the way that we've taught classes. We changed the type of games that we're playing to try and accommodate it. So it's been tough, but fun.
Awesome, thank you. So that kind of leads into our next question, was how have you specifically restructured your on-site classes? So like, what have you guys done within your facilities to kind of maintain that social distancing and to keep the space? So Peter, you just said like how you guys have, you know, literally dots everywhere. Have either of you guys come up with or found anything that works versus doesn't work really, really well for you guys so far? Okay, go ahead, Robert.
Well, we didn't do anything. We didn't spend the money on like the stickers or anything like that. But we literally, I got orange. People call it duct tape, but it's not duct tape. But it's orange bookbinding tape, and we have passageways that people travel to get. And in every room, we've set out the markers where the student sits, where the teacher sits. We rearranged some rooms to maximize the diagonal distance, which in square rooms, that's what you need. Is this, you know, these rooms are always some sort of version on a square or a rectangle. Taking out a lot of extraneous stuff, you know, that was in there, extra chairs for parents, things like that. We closed off one room that was, if everybody stood at either end of the room, they were probably okay. But we just closed that room. We also took out just one bench is left in our waiting area, and we put some of those extra chairs. If somebody shows up, we make them sit in the hall. And we are recommending the parents just trust us. You trust us with your kids all the time. They're going to be fine upstairs alone. You do not have to be there for them. And so they're waiting in their cars downstairs. The Starbucks is kind of has a soft opening, and that's, you know, that seems to be good enough for them. And thankfully we have the good weather. We don't ever our winter weather going on. And then more the optics than anything else, we have cleaning stations everywhere. There's 3 kinds of cleaner in every kind of room. Had to pay through the nose for hand sanitizer, as everybody else here probably has had to do. I had to drive like 2 towns over and found some weird gas station that had like no limits on hand sanitizer, and I paid a lot for it, but and so that every time somebody comes in, they see somebody cleaning, they smell the smell of cleaning, and makes some of the people feel better.
Awesome, thank you. And what about you, Beth? Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Yes, like I said to you, for us, we're gymnastics and a swim school. So the gymnastics part, very, very similar as far as having dots everywhere. So everyone is spaced out. And we are going to have smaller class sizes. So that's going to help, at least to start with, to be able to spread people out in the facility. But for us, the big part was how do you get into the building and how do you get out of the building? And what do we do with our lobby space? So for our swimming, it was simple because you can go in the front door and you can go out one of the exit doors that will kind of lead back into the parking lot. So that was a really easy one-way traffic. But for gymnastics, it was a lot trickier. So I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. Can I do that? I took a few pictures. We had we really only had one really good, no. Oh, excellent.
Go ahead and give it a go now. I'll stop sharing.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is a picture of our front entrance. So we have the double doors in the front, and for gymnastics, we're going to have to go in and out that same double door. So if you can imagine, can you see this little mouse thing? If you can imagine this sign to the left that says no parking, pick up and drop off. We're getting a new front made for that. It's going to say, welcome to Salem Gymnastics and Swim. We are so glad to have you here. Please help us out by doing a self-check before you come in the door. If you or anyone in your family has been sick, please don't come in, yada, yada, all the questions there before they come in the door. So that's where we're going to kind of do our screening informally that way. By coming in the door, you certify that you're not sick and no one has been sick. And then we have this little, and what's happening here is we're having to enter on the left and exit on the right, which is a little odd. So we're going to just put a little sign right here that just says enter, and we'll put a sign on the front door that says enter. As you come in the front door, you can see, and we'll probably have someone opening the door for you, but you can see where we have some social distancing placed on the floor, and we've actually put up to the right-hand side some curtains. This is pipe and drape that we've used at meets before. So we pulled it out, lowered it down to half size. So as you come in the door, you're escorted, directly into this person, the greeter person, who's going to welcome you and help you find your way into your classes. Now, as you move to the left, our swim school is just to the left, and there's also another section of lobby where we have removed all of our tables and chairs. Here's another shot of that. Oop, there it is again. Oh, hi. I'll jump ahead to our front office. You can just see really quickly here we have our front office folks and the plexiglass that we built ourselves. We got stuff at Home Depot. I don't think we paid more than, $50 for each panel there. Oops. And there you can see. Okay, so here's the side of the lobby that used to have a set of bleachers that would look into the swim school. There were benches and tables and chairs in here that parents would sit on all the time. And now we have social distancing for gymnastics folks getting ready into their class. So each of these spaces, we can get 12 children sitting with social distancing. So when classes start, we're going to start our classes at 1/4 and at 1/4 where everybody used to start on the hour. We're splitting it up now. So 1/4 is 12 kids, 1/4 is a different 12 kids, and they'll go into this little gate up on the front edge. This is down the other hallway, so this takes you down to the bleachers and down to the restrooms. So we just put this right at the middle. The whole hallway is only 6 feet wide, so it's really hard to social distance. So we're just going to have one-way walking up one side and back down the other side. And you can also see over here on the right where we have shrink-wrapped our water fountains. So that's just shrink wrap. We rolled around the water fountains. And here's the exit. So again, you can see it just kind of takes you back out the opposite door for the gymnastics folks. So those are the photos that I have to show about our physical space.
Awesome. Thank you. Deborah, Molly, Peter, did you guys have anything you wanted to add on that?
Sure, yeah, we can do that. This is Deborah and Molly.
Yeah, so we're going to be opening next week, so we're not officially open for in studio yet, but same thing, we have a lot of students that are itching to get back. But we also are closing our lobbies, so there'll be no parents being able to wait in the lobbies. We have 2 separate entrances, so we will have the students coming in one way and then exiting another. We have been lucky with one of our buildings that the building is going to work with us, and we're going to have parking spots that are blocked off. So that is strictly for us, so that parents can just pull up, get their kid out of the car, give them the old boot, and then drive off and drive around. And then they'll pick them up at the back of our building. Our other building will be set up the same way. Come in one door, drive off, and they'll be able to pick up at the other door. The nice thing, we are limiting our class sizes, of course, as well, but we have always had monitors in our lobbies for parents to watch the classes. So of course, many will miss that, but for our dance classes, we are still going to Zoom those classes. So if there are any students that still want to take the class but do it from home, they can. But that also allows those parents that are dropping their kids off for the class, they can sit in their car or outside and still pull up the class and be able to see what's happening in the class. So that'll be a good thing. And then for our music students, we have some that want to come in and some that don't. We're in the process of figuring that out with our voice students right now. More than likely, we will still have to continue Zoom lessons for our voice students, at least for these next couple of weeks. But then hopefully we'll be able to get them back. We have masks for them. We even bought face shields for our students and teachers for in those rooms. So if they're more comfortable with a face shield, they can wear those too.
Awesome, thank you. And you guys just mentioned too about the monitors. So have either of you guys looked into, or if you have it set up and didn't say, for Spot TV for that system?
Yeah, we did look into that when we first started going virtual as potentially an option, but because I think we are going to have a mix of students who want to take classes virtually this summer and students who want to be in the studio, we're going to continue with Zoom anyway. So we just felt like it was easiest just to open that up to parents as well, rather than trying to use two different platforms at the same time.
Awesome. Okay. And with Zoom, are you guys all using the URL on your class summary tab so that your parents can access the links through the portal?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. And same thing with the rest of you, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's muted, but you can give me a thumbs up on that one if you want. Okay, and then so just moving on a little bit, what communication tools are you guys using to communicate with your parents and your students, and as well, how often are you communicating? I know myself personally, because I'm like at various yoga studios, and my kids are in different things. Some people I am getting emails from like 2 or 3 times a day that I really want to hit unsubscribe to, but I don't. And then others, I'm like my gym, I've gotten 1 email since March from them. So I'm like, oh, what's going on? So what are you guys using to stay in touch with your parents, and how often? Go ahead, Peter.
So we are emailing our parents at least once a week. We have our weekly email that we've been doing forever, so that same thing. And then we will email them if there's any new changes or updates about certain things, but we try and limit it to not be overbearing or have too many things going out. So we use Constant Contact and Jackrabbit to send those out. And then we also are starting our text service through you guys in the push notifications. So that's going to be coming out in the next month. But email is huge for us right now, as well as surveys, and then social media.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that one? Okay. Go ahead, guys. Deborah and Molly.
We email, and we do the mass email as well. We find, of course, that families half the time don't read the emails regardless. But we use ZipWhip like constantly. We don't use the texting from Jackrabbit anymore, but we do use ZipWhip, which we have found to be great. It's just the best way. Parents are more receptive. They text back right away. So we use that the most, but we also use the parent portal messaging. So depending what it is, I mean, obviously you can't fit a big long email in there, but if it is something that's happening that week or right away, we will put that message in there. So every time they sign in, we have been pushing our parents to use the parent portal for everything more and more this past year. So to get them used to it, to know how to maneuver within it, navigate everything they need to. So they're very used to signing in to get their links for the Zoom classes and so on. So we are putting messages there as well.
We have also done our director's done a couple video messages when we've had a big announcement about something, just because and of course we put that out on social media, we include it in a link in an email, but I think having that face-to-face when we don't actually have that face-to-face right now is really important and has been really helpful in keeping them connected with us.
Yeah, totally agree on that one. Robert, go ahead.
We've done the same thing with the email, but as everybody is probably sick to death of hearing about from every corporation that is in this together with us, from a lot of the emails are getting lost. So as well as the emails, we've been doing some lesson aids for all those parents stuck at home trying to teach their kids, school, and of course supplement the music lessons portion of things. So we've done some YouTube videos, put them in blogs, sent email links to the blogs. But one thing that always gets through and seems to be getting forgotten at this time is actually phoning them. To see that everything's going okay. Yeah, thank you, Tammy, because everybody's emailing you to tell you how much they care and please keep spending money with us. But so if we don't hear from certain people, and just as a matter of course, because we've been sort of maintaining phone contact long before this. Is one of our things that we do is actually phone, especially parents that don't come in, the ones that trust us with their kids and don't have to be there. And we actually phone them. So if you're not phoning people, if you don't think you're getting through, I would add phoning people into your matrix of contacts.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that because I know that where I teach, of course, it's yoga, so it's more adults, but I have a lot of an older population of students who are like Zoom what? Like they don't text, they don't have smartphones. So we've literally been like going through and looking at, okay, well, who hasn't signed up for a Zoom class? And all the teachers amongst us, we've all been divvying up the list and just giving them a quick call and just checking in and just even almost like a wellness check, like just making sure you're okay. Do you need anything? Or, if you want to get on Zoom, I can help you. Or if not, we'll be in touch when we reopen. So I totally agree there about the phone calls. And Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, just to tag along on the phone calls again, we started calling all of our opt-in people first initially, just to make sure they know that registration is opening, that we planned our schedule kind of with their needs in mind, and we want to make sure we get them in there. And it's been so amazing to have our staff get so excited after making these phone calls, where normally the front office staff is like, oh, the public, their questions are so confusing, and they get a little beaten down by complaints and so forth. But the calls these days are completely different. People are so glad to have someone to speak to and to have someone care about them and to hear about their children. So it's been a really great thing. So I encourage lots and lots of personal phone calls. One other thing that we did in communication was we did send out a SurveyMonkey, which is the platform we use, but we sent a survey out a couple of weeks ago just to ask our people, this was just people who were enrolled in March, to ask them, when do they plan to return? And amazingly, we had 67% that want to return just as soon as we open. And I thought that was an astounding number. And for those that didn't want to return right away, we asked them to please elaborate. And we saw everything from, we're not going to come back till school starts, we're not going to come back till Christmas, we're not going to come back till there's a vaccine. But there were a lot of people who said, we want to hear what your protocols are. We want to hear what you plan to do that's different. Your lobby is so crowded and the changing room is just people on top of people after swim lessons. And I don't want to go in the changing room. I wouldn't be comfortable with all that crowding. So it gave us the opportunity to step back in and just kind of target our message more as to what are we doing, what is different. And I think that's helped a lot with just kind of meeting people where they are and letting them know that, we haven't just been sleeping during COVID. We have been working probably harder now than we have working on our business in years and years. So that was a great thing for us.
Okay, and I'm just going to just jump off our plan a little bit, only because one of the questions that did come in was, what do you consider proper protocols? And also from Sheila as well, what do you clean with what and how often? So I'm just wondering, I know in BC we have to follow WorkSafe BC guidelines, so we have a governing body in place that has everything kind of listed out, what you should do, what you need to do. So where you guys are there things listed for you, or where are you getting that information from that you're considering your proper protocols? These are my bunny quotes, by the way. Proper protocols. Okay, go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, thank you. Our proper protocols came to us in kind of a different way because of the way that our governor has opened our state. Initially, in phase 1, nothing was open at all. But when phase 2 was announced, they said that day camps can open even in businesses that are closed, which was kind of strange, as long as the businesses are not open to the public. So we went to the day camp protocols from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services and from the CDC, and those things are all written out. And then also, the next step was when they opened swimming pools. Indoor and outdoor pools opened. So again, we just went looking for protocols for swimming pools, even though ours is a little different, but it's still, we want to make sure we hit all those points. And then also for youth sports. So in our state specifically, dance studios and martial arts are not allowed to open. However, youth sports, if it's a non-contact sport, is okay. So I thought, well, if we can have kids in for day camp, and we can have swimming lessons, then we can have a non-contact sport. So that's kind of where we have taken our protocols from. And almost all of it has to do with social distancing, sanitation, frequent cleaning, and almost everything says where possible and if possible, which I think is kind of interesting because it really leaves a lot of wiggle room. But that's kind of where we've come to get this. The lists are great and they're all over, and particularly the CDC. I know that's nationwide, and lots of good information for companies like ours.
Awesome. Okay, and okay, go ahead, Deborah Molly.
Well, we're doing the same thing, following the protocols that the county and the state have put out, which sounds like they're pretty similar most every place. But we are actually having, I'm not going to know the proper term, but it's some kind of an HVAC unit installed in our buildings. That's an ionizer for bacteria. And so that'll be in both of our locations. And we also have, I don't even have the name, so I'm probably not much help right now, but we have a spray that we're going to be doing after our classes that has been recognized and approved on the CDC list. So whenever we do have our classes, at the end of the night or first thing in the morning, we'll be going through and doing that spray throughout our buildings. And then of course the hand sanitizer and all of that as well. But so those are some of the things that we're doing that are kind of beyond what the norm is. And we're doing the same thing where some of our classes that were called camps, but it's like, no, they're actually more, just the recreation. And so there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but yeah, that's how we're opening too.
And we did actually call our health department just to say, hey, there is some gray area here, and we just want to make sure that we are doing the right thing. We do have the green light to go forward with these programs, just to make sure that we felt comfortable and could then turn around and assure our clientele that we have the green light.
Awesome. And just to speak about the light, because I know that we have installed a UV light system. So we normally have a UV light that is, you plug it in and we use it every night. And this is been doing this for 10 or 12 years now. That kind of kills any bacteria that could be inside our yoga room because it's a hot studio. But now it's actually a filtration system that goes, so our fresh air that gets recycled in goes through the UV light process. So the air that comes in, it's totally clean and it's zapped and is pulling out the old air. If anybody's listening is this sounds so confusing, if you have a hot tub, this is the easiest way I explained it. Just another person recently, if you have a hot tub, you can either have a whole bunch of chlorine chemicals or you can have a UV light system. So it's the same thing. The UV light kills all the bacteria. And Robert or Peter, did you guys need to or want to add anything to that? Go ahead, Robert.
The protocols here are a little bit, it's probably the same everywhere. Every store or facility that is open that I've walked into throughout this is doing it differently, and then magically they'll change. So the only thing we're doing is we're trying to be as visual as possible what we're doing, and so for instance, we've propped our door open so everybody's not touching the door. and we have a table with hand sanitizer and a sign, so that's your first stop. And that's one of the few protocols that is really clear, is that there has to be a cleaning station when you go into a place and when you go out. And it can be the same thing. And so we're making sure we have that. And like I say, I think the most important part from a business point of view, not necessarily the other aspect, is that people see that you have it, that it's really an obvious thing. You know, orange lines on the ground and a stop sign. We have 2 stop signs on the outside, all that sort of thing. So that's our take on it anyways.
Awesome, thank you. And okay, so I'll move on to the next question. So it's kind of going back a little bit, but back when you guys when everything first happened, say mid-March, were you guys at the beginning just thinking, oh, I'll just offer makeup classes, or did you give everybody mass credits, put everybody on hold for classes that were missed in March and April? And if you did, or if you're planning on doing makeups, are you going to allow the parents, because they now can, as of Thursday, reschedule their makeups and enter their absences through the parent portal? I saw that look, guys. Okay, Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, I can just let you know that in our situation, we initially, because again, we thought we'd be closed for 2 weeks and we'd pop back open. So our thought was to offer makeups, like to leave them as makeups that never expire, because normally you can hold your makeups for so long and then they're gone. So these are makeups that never expire for March. And then as time went by, we decided, instead of doing that, we're going to put the credits back on their account. So when they first come back, they've already paid for their first couple lessons. And people are so thrilled about that. They're thrilled about it. And it enabled us to take the people who had opted in that are paying for April and May. Those people are getting makeups that never expire. And they're going to be able to use those credits towards special events, toward a camp, toward a parents' night out, toward a clinic, anything that's special, they can use their makeups for that as well. So we're trying to give them a lot of opportunities for makeups. We don't let our parents schedule their own just yet, because I'm just afraid of the Pandora's box. But if any of you guys have words of wisdom about that, I'd love to hear them.
Awesome, thank you. Deborah, Molly, did you guys want to chime in on that one?
Yeah, so we were super fortunate when everything officially shut down. We were on spring break, closed that week for spring break. So they made that announcement at the beginning of the week, and we were like, perfect, we've got a week to get a Zoom account and everything figured out and launch virtually. So we really didn't do an opt-in. It was more, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to continue with our full schedule of classes. It's just going to be online. Obviously, we had people drop, but we just went into it with the expectation of people are going to continue with us. And so we really didn't necessarily miss any weeks as far as people having to do makeup lessons. We've made sure to send the Zoom recordings to anybody who's been absent for the class. So that's really been their makeup lesson of, if it doesn't work for you to take during your normal day and time, you can always take the class via the recording later. And of course, with our music students, our private music students, we were able to shift around some scheduling if that worked better for them while they were doing online.
Well, and it helped too, like for our dance program, it ended last week, that session. And so we're going to be doing kind of a virtual recording of our normal dance recital. So they still had something to look forward to that made them want to continue, and then there was an end date. So I think that was a big help for that. So yeah, we lost some students that are choosing not to participate in that, and so they stopped, but mostly it's kept going. But with the absence thing, we're looking forward to that. We won't let parents schedule their own makeup because there's too many variables. but it's going to be really nice that they can go in and enter an absence. So we're excited about that too.
Yeah, and with that too, so, and you don't have to allow both. Like you can have them only just enter their absence and not allow them to enter their makeup. Robert, Peter, do you have anything to add on that one?
Yeah, so for us, it was during spring break as well, but because we bill at the first of each month, we still had 2 more weeks left. So we are allowing people to do makeups now, and for certain programs, we're just basically not charging them for the first 2 weeks. So we're kind of going back and forth and working with our families as much as possible, just to make sure that they are happy and that they're getting the best service possible. So we are taking it kind of each family at a time, but we are really trying to work with them to keep them enrolled and to keep them as part of our Aspire family. So
ours happened before our March break, and so we were basically, I mean, I kind of saw it coming, so that part was okay. And we had a lot of people who bailed really quickly, and but my policy was credit, not refund. So anybody who didn't want to take lessons and had no plan on coming back, and they're waiting for whatever they're waiting for, we put just a cash value so that they could use it any time. So rather than, the lesson they had 6 lessons coming to them, let's say, well, if they wait 2 years, those 6 lessons are going to be worth a lot less, maybe not a lot less, but amount less. So we just put a cash, not to be all about the money, but I got to pay bills. And so everybody who's with us, still, they just, similar to other people, it was just an opt-in. We switched over. It's now video lessons. We've been forced to do it. That's the way it is. Yes, lots of people left. So we have a lot of people on the books, and that's where it's going to get confusing, who have a cash credit coming to them. If they use it this year, they get their full sort of value. But no refunds.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Beth, I have a question for you. Are your swim instructors in the pool?
They will be in the pool. They're not in the pool yet. They start on June 1st. They will be in the water.
Okay. Okay, and let's just see here. I'm just looking through the questions really quick. Okay, and this is just a general one. Are you all cleaning between classes? And how do you keep floors and bathrooms clean? I guess staff would be my guess. But are you guys cleaning in between classes?
Yeah, I can tell you that we have research, and I don't have the name of the product. I wish I did, but I know that there are several that are recommended that are they're all green, they're healthy for the kids, but they'll kill everything. I'm not sure how that happens, but that's what they tell us. And we tried to get one of those electrostatic, that may not be the right word, but the guns that shoot out the mist that grabs onto surfaces. Those things are amazing, but they've shot up in price and you can't get them anymore, from what I can tell, anywhere in the country. But the second best thing is to go to Home Depot and you can get a battery-powered sprayer that would spray Roundup on the yard, but you put the chemical in there and you can spray it on the surfaces and immediately it just kills stuff right away. You can be back on the surface within 5 minutes. So between classes, we're just spraying down all the equipment and all the mats, and we're just going to run a dry mop across the mat so it doesn't get, so it just gets a nice surface spreading and so forth on that. We're spraying the gates and all the, the high touch surfaces. And also we use EnviroMaster for our bathrooms, and they put some sort of chemical, they spray it on there once a week that actually kills the germs for a week. So again, I don't understand all this stuff, but they have a seal of approval, so I'm going with it. And of course we'll be wiping down surfaces all the time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. And so this speaks now to those of you that have reopened. How much time are you finding your new check-in process is taking you? So whereas before, parents dropped them off, they ran in, they probably changed their shoes, pulled off a sweater and came in, but now, because some people are, doing temperature checks and, even just that extra couple of minutes, if you're doing that, times 30 students, to make sure that they use their hand sanitizer, how much time are you finding this is like eating into your day? And have you added time to your classes and altered your schedules to accommodate for that? Or are you letting that kind of come into your hour? Say if a class is an hour long. Okay, go ahead, Peter.
We did alter our schedules and we spaced it out more to accommodate for that time and for the cleaning between as well. So instead of us doing every half hour, we're just doing it on the hour or spacing it out at least 25 to 30 minutes between each class, because we have found, even with just camps this week, it's the first day, but we have found it is taking much longer to get them checked in and sanitized and cleaned and make sure that they're comfortable and ready to go. So some small adjustments, but definitely it's added a lot more time.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And so this one now speaks specifically to, do you have, or what have you added, say, to your policies and agreements if a student tests positive or somebody within their, we call them bubbles here, like within their immediate bubble, so if their parent tests positive for COVID or if they were in contact with somebody that tests positive? Do you guys have a specific policy lined out for that in your legalese? No. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, I can say we don't have something per se. We have put in a COVID waiver or a COVID statement saying that that we're doing all these. We're screening our staff. We're screening people coming in the door, but we're not guaranteeing that we are a germ-free environment, and that people could contract a disease here, including COVID, and it could be potentially fatal, and they're not going to hold us responsible for that. The question that I have, and this is a little bit of a tangent from that, is I'm concerned what to do if we have a staff person that tests positive. What do we do with the company? Do we close the company for 2 weeks? Do we, it just becomes really tricky. So I have heard some talk about having staff work on alternating days, where you have your Monday, Wednesday, Friday staff, and you have your Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday staff. So if someone does get ill, the rest of the staff could step in and do more. I haven't had a chance to think through all of that, but I'd be curious if anyone has any answers for that one.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we have another one here. Do you clean between classes? But I'm pretty sure we just kind of went over that. And I think personally for me, a lot of it is not so much as perception, but as long as parents see that you're doing it, you're, Robert said, you've got the stickers down, you've got the stop signs up. They know that you're cleaning. As long as parents can feel safe, I think that's what's going to help get your families back in and taking classes, and just, everybody knows that everyone is kind of working together to keep your facilities open and busy, hopefully soon. And I'm scrolling through the questions. Just one sec, guys. Some I have answered, some I haven't.
I see one, Marie. Can I jump in?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Beth, I think this is kind of more for you. Are you going to require your swim coaches to wear face shields in the water?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're going to require everyone in our lobby to wear a mask. So that's in the public space. When our gymnastics staff is giving instruction, they'll be standing back 10, 12 feet, and they will not be masked. If they step into spot, they will wear a mask. And then to the question as far as the swimming pool, our swimming staff is going to wear shields. They will wear the face shields. So if you imagine kind of like a welder's helmet, that comes down over the front. So that way when the children, come up out of the water and they spit or splash, it is going to protect the staff. And then also it's going to they can see their faces. They can see their smiling faces. I believe that masks in the water would not be safe. I think if they got wet, it would be really dangerous. So, but we've had our staff in the water with the face shields. They're getting more comfortable with them. And so hopefully the staff, and we've done a few little videos too of, this is Mr. Parker, and here he is wearing his face shield, and Mr. Parker makes a nice smile and a peace sign. So hopefully everyone's going to be excited to see that.
Thank you.
Okay, I just saw a question there. Now I can't find it.
Maria, good one real quick on that subject. One is, where do you get these face shields? I saw some online, but specifically, Beth, maybe you could answer that.
Yeah, I can tell you, ours came from South Florida. There's a woman in South Florida who owns a large and very successful swim schools down there, and she found a place to get a big, large quantities at a discount. But when I looked online, the ones online appeared to be just very, very similar to the ones that we got with this group order. So I don't know that any one would be much better than another. I would, perhaps, like a lot of things you get online, order one, make sure you okay, and look at it, see what you think. Plan on having each staff person to have their own individual shield, just like they would have their own individual mask.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I've got a question here. It says, our studio uses Acromats, the Flexi Roll brand, which has a fuzzy coating on top and foam on the bottom. These are harder to wipe down. Any suggestions for the best way to clean these? And I think Beth kind of went over that when she was talking about the spray. Normally, when I'm cleaning our studio, it was the manual one, but literally like what you would use in your backyard for the roundup. So I love the idea that there's a battery-operated one, and I will be going to Home Depot today, shopping again, but getting the battery-operated one because my hand goes like numb from having to pump the other one. So I think that is good. Our floor, it's a porous surface in our studio, so we don't as long as it's sprayed, then the antibacterial solution is getting on it, so you don't have to wipe it. So I hope that helps, Louisa. And let's see here. Go ahead.
For Deborah and Molly, have you guys found anything to clean the Marley floors that won't damage them?
So we have just been using that spray that Deborah was talking about earlier. I know that the gentleman who usually comes and cleans our studio said that it has been leaving a film, which is not ideal, but is better than them not getting cleaned.
Right.
Yeah, we've just been using that spray for them as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just looking through the questions. I think pretty much we do still have some more there, but they've all kind of pretty well been answered throughout. And just looking, let me just go from the top. Deborah and Molly, you guys mentioned Zip Whip. And just somebody had a question. What is the difference between using Zip Whip and Twilio or Plevo with Jackrabbit?
Well, the biggest difference, number one, you can use your own phone number. So when we did use, I think we used Plevo. Yeah, Plevo from Jackrabbit. But it was some number in California. Nobody ever knew it was us. And then when they would respond, it didn't necessarily always come through with who they were. So then we wouldn't know.
We had no idea
responding.
Yeah,
it was terrible. So Zip Whip, you can use your own business phone number. You can schedule text future anytime. You can set up groups. So some of our classes, we list everybody in that group so we can send out a message to them. Yeah, it's just been way, way better.
And I know that some of those services that Jackrabbit uses have probably made updates since we use them, but like with Zipwhip, it isn't. You can have it as an app on your phone. So you can go in there and it's just like any other inbox or messaging service where you've just got all the ones you've sent recently right there for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty
And
awesome.
we've put in suggestions through Jackrabbit to get affiliated with Zipwhip, because then that would be very on
Yeah,
top.
if they talk to each other, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and let's see here.
And we're just noticing we're at the top of the hour, so we've got a couple more questions we can take because I want to respect everybody's time and make sure you guys can get off with your day. So if you can let us get through just a couple more, then we'll call it a wrap for today. Someone asked, Deborah, you mentioned a specific product, but they missed the name of it. Would you remind us of what that was?
I didn't give a name because I don't have the name.
Gotcha.
It's something we can certainly get if somebody wants to message us. I don't even know if I have it around here anywhere. Yeah, it was some spray product that she got and she found it. It was on the CDC approved list. And
it's like a little, you put almost like a backpack on
Mm-hmm.
to go around and spray.
I don't know. I thought we had some here.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, that's the hand sanitizer. Yeah, if somebody wants to get in touch with us later, we can get the name to you. It's just Molly@AngelaFloydSchools.com.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And then, Beth, for swimming schools, are you having your change rooms open, and are you allowing people to change at the pool?
That's a great question. We are going to encourage parents to wrap and go, just wrap up in a towel and head out the door. But we know it's going to be, the weather's not going to be perfect every single day. And we're fortunate that summertime is coming. But if you're in an area where it's not so great, I have heard of swim schools who have bought these pop-up changing rooms. I don't know if you've ever seen them, get them on Amazon. From what I understand, you get what you pay for. So don't go with the cheap one or you'll be really, really sorry. Go with something a little more middle of the line, but you can pop up these little changing rooms and set 3 or 4 on your deck, and folks can go in there and change clothes quickly and come back out.
Awesome, thank you. And then we had a couple people that put in Stearman and Simply Green Pro are products that will do sanitizing. Stearman, STERAMIN, and Simply Green Pro. Haven't tested those, aren't endorsing them, but some suggestions if you need to start someplace.
Yeah, we use, at the studio, we use Simply Green. And then we also use tea tree oil, mouthwash, and toothpaste. I have no idea where that came from, but that is a solution. That is what we clean the yoga mats with, so they're not, if you've ever seen a yoga mat over time, they get kind of flaky and start to peel away, and that prevents them from breaking down.
Awesome. So, Marie, how are questions looking on your end?
Well, I think I've got time for one more, and this one's from Lynette, and she wants to know, how does Zoom, and I believe this was for Molly and Deborah have brought this up, how does Zoom work for your parents to view their child's class, and does it merge with your camera system?
So we haven't actually tried this out yet, so it'll be an experiment. But it doesn't merge with our camera system. As we were planning to go virtually, we got tablets for all of our dance studios. So we will just pull it up on that and basically stream it for them. The thing that we do have to figure out how we want to deal with is if we want to put that responsibility of letting people in from the waiting room on our office staff, or just tell the parents, like, you're either in it the whole time, or like you can't just pop in the middle of class because the teacher's teaching. So that is something we've got to iron out the details on, but I mean, we're just gonna start basically create those meetings and have the teacher start that meeting at the beginning of class, and the parents can just log in.
It's really what they've been doing now anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So they'll just log in and see the class live, and they can.
So they are seeing, though, they're seeing the teacher teach the class, not necessarily their student inside the classroom taking the class.
Right. I mean, we'll set the tablet up to, it'll be back getting the majority of the room, so that really parents just want to look and make sure that their kid is participating, or, you know, is still alive. And so that's really the purpose of it, not so much, I guess, to get more of a feel for how the classes are. With our monitors in the lobby, it's not like they have audio. It really is just there as to get a sense of what the class is like, to have that visual reassurance that their child is okay and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
And Marie, we had one more pop in, not a question, but ZEP, Z-E-P, is also another one. It's used, you can get it from a hardware store, used in a lot of hairdresser places. It'll kill a lot of stuff. So there's another one if people are looking.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway too is, like, check with the CDC, you know, check on the WHO website, just check with your local authorities, because every, you know, state, province in Canada, everybody has different guidelines. So by all means, I think your first, you know, check for any kind of protocols would be to, you know, check with your official governing body kind of thing. So,
awesome.
And as well, if you want to get feedback from peers, always ask a question in the Facebook users group.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. I think we're going to call it a wrap. If you have questions, Jackrabbit related, don't forget you can reach out to support. We are more than happy to help you along this road to reopening. And Marie, thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Deborah and Molly, Beth and Peter and Janet and Lisa and everybody. Marie, I'll let you close this out. So.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you, everybody, so much for attending. Do not forget that you will get a recording for anybody that is still on. You'll receive a recording about this time tomorrow, and that is about it. And good luck, everyone, with your reopening. Like I just said, if you have any questions, peer-wise, ask it in the Facebook users group. If you have any questions, Jackrabbit, send in a chat or a ticket or request a phone call. And have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.